Excellent. I think we are live now. I can see people are joining, which is amazing. Hello, everyone. Greetings from the UK. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Dagina Weatherill, and I'm the Director of Recruitment at Uni UK Division, a company of global university systems overseeing international student recruitment for a number of our UK partner universities. And today I'm extremely excited to talk about one of our premium partner university, University of Gloucestershire. So today we will cover a few items in regards with the university, just a reminder what the university is like, the process from the admission side, but also, and most importantly, since the university has introduced CAS Shield platform this year to use for the CAS request for students, we will be going through CAS Shield process as well. So just a few housekeeping rules before we start. You're all on mute. If you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. So that's Q&A section rather than chat section, and we will take them at the end. Other than that, sit back and enjoy, and we hope you find this webinar very, very useful. And I'm really excited today to be joined by colleagues from the University of Gloucestershire. So we have Vajid and Carla from the regional team of the University of Gloucestershire overseeing South Asia students recruitment. We have Taj, who is head of admissions at the University of Gloucestershire, and we have Shan Healy, who is CAS Shield account manager. Hi everyone, I'm also joined here by my colleagues from uni. So we have Aisha, who oversees admissions within uni, and we have Arjun and Ankita from the marketing team supporting us with running this webinar today. Thank you all for joining, and I guess it's over to you, Carla, to share your screen, and Vajid will take us through some items on the University of Gloucestershire. Thank you.
Thanks, Dagina. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session. We will go through a quick presentation on UOG and then hand over to Sean as soon as possible. So, Carla, next slide, please. I will be talking about top 5 reasons to join Gloucestershire and about the popular courses, and Carla will take onwards. So the top 5 reason, I would say that one of the top reasons is that we are ranked 2nd globally for employment and career support. I always say this, that we are very much employability focused university because of the very polytechnic history or nature of us. And we are a perfect mix of city and country living. I guess one of the best locations in the UK for students, providing them both opportunities to experience country and as well as the city life. So 95% graduate employability rate again. Most of our graduates, they are within a job or into further studies within the 15 months of the completion of their course. And we are offering £2,000 grant award, which is a automatic fee discount for everybody, which makes us very competitive when it comes to fee or cost side of it. And we are investing heavily in cutting edge facilities to provide state-of-the-art facilities to our students. We have like high-tech labs, nursing clinics, film studios, and having a new campus in Gloucester city centre. So these are top 5 reasons to join us. I think we do cover a wide range of academic courses. As you all know, our flagship courses are Global MBA, which offers like 8 specialist routes. And then we have MSc FinTech, a kind of a new emerging area, which is an intersection between the technology and financial services, very highly employable sort of course. Then we have MSc International Business, which can cater for any type of students coming from different backgrounds. We have MSc Marketing. Professional Doctorate is one of our flagship programs, ranked 21st in the global ranking by the European Economic Committee. Then we have MSc Data Science and Cybersecurity. Again, I say that because of the very nature of our location and university, we are very well connected with these 2 industries. And I think these are very, very good courses for the students from across the globe. We have MSc Engineering Management, MSc Education, and MSc Psychology as well. In addition to these taught master programs, we also offer master stage short like crash courses, and you can say master stage like top-up courses. We are offering MBA, MSc Human Resource Management in this area. And level 6 degree programs at undergrad level, top-up year we are offering for BA honors in business management and strategy, and applied sport and exercise studies, as well as journalism and communication. So these are the kind of level 6 top-up degree programs we are offering at undergrad year 3 level. So in terms of fee and funding, I will hand over to Carla. She will continue talking about the stuff here. Carla.
Thanks, Wajid, for that. Yeah, so just a quick reminder on our fees, which I think you'll see are extremely competitive when compared to other universities in the UK. So you can see here that our integrated foundation and bachelor courses are 15,450. Our master's courses range from 15,900 to 16,560. We also have a number of master stage awards at 5,300, and then our research PhD fees are almost 12,000, 11,730 per year. So I think they are pretty competitive fee levels for you. In terms of assistance that we can offer our international students, we're pleased to remind you all that we have an international grant award, which is worth £2,000 off the first year tuition fee. It requires no application, so you don't apply for it, it's an automatic award. Students do need to be studying with us on a full-time basis, be self-funding, and studying for a minimum of 2 semesters on campus to be eligible for these awards. And there are a couple of courses that aren't eligible, for example, master stage awards and professional doctorates like the DBA. But these are automatic awards, so the students would automatically see that reflected in their tuition fees at the time of enrolment. We're also pleased to say that we have an early bird discount. So if students pay all of their fees by the time of enrolment in September, they would qualify for an additional £500 early payment discount. So please do remind all your students about that. Okay. As with many universities this year, we are seeing significant increases in our applications for September. So we are advising all of our prospective students and our agent partners to send in the applications as early as possible. We have been issuing CASs since the end of April. And Sean will talk to you more about the new CAS Shield platform that we are using for students and agents to apply for the CASs. In terms of the advanced fee payments or deposits that we require, we ask all students to pay a minimum of £5,500 as an advanced fee payment prior to their CAS request being considered by our immigration team. Once that has been paid, students can then calculate the balance of fees that they would need to pay at enrolment. So essentially, they would need to find out their total course fee, deduct from that the £5,500 for the deposit, advance fee payment, deduct also the £2,000 grant award if they're eligible for that, and then the balance remaining from once those have been deducted, students are then requested to pay a minimum of 50% of that balance at enrolment. Of course, we do encourage, as we've said, for students to pay in full because they would then benefit from the early bird discount. But essentially, they need to pay a minimum of 50% of the remaining balance at enrolment. We're really pleased to say now that we are now offering 2 international payment platforms for students to transfer funds from their home country to the university. So we work with Convera, which used to be Western Union, and we now, since last year, have been working with Flywire. So we're pleased to be able to give students the choice there for the safe deposit and transfer of their funding. Details on how to use those platforms are available on our finance web pages as well. Okay, I will just pass over to my colleague Natasha now, who's going to talk a little bit more with a quick reminder on how applications are submitted to the university.
Great, thanks Carla. To support everyone in the process, I thought it would be a good idea to run through the application process that we have brought into the University of Gloucestershire in conjunction with Imuni and GUS to give you that guide and how the process will run for all applicants that support you through that the journey. So, as you know, all applications will be submitted to the GUS gateway for processing. Once they have been assessed for clearance to be submitted to the University of Gloucestershire, then an application will be completed, and this will be done via the agent portal. At this stage, we do ask for minimal documents to be submitted, so passport and the documents that you have at that moment in time to submit the application. Once the application comes into our system, the admissions team at the university will issue a conditional offer letter. We're aiming to return that to you within 48 hours. That will go straight to the applicant, and it will also copy in the Imuni and GUS team as well for reference that the offer has been issued. After this stage, then it will be back to the Imuni and GUS team to liaise with the applicant and yourselves to go through the verification stage of the application process. This will involve gathering all the documents in relation to our entry criteria. We'll also be conducting suitability interviews to assess the suitability of the applicant for the university and also for the programme that they're applying for. Once all of those checks have been completed, then the team will send through a request for an unconditional offer to the admissions team at the university, so we can then further assess the application, going through and double checking all of the information before we are confident that the unconditional offer can be sent. We are looking to turn around those pretty quickly, but this will be based on a number of factors that once we go through our verification. So this will be communicated if we have any delays. We'll be liaising with the team involved. Once everything's clear, then the applicant will be unconditional firm, and that will be, the person will then be transferred over to our CAS Shield dashboard. And then you'll be supporting your applicant to complete their CAS request and upload documents and make the relevant payment as indicated by Carla in the previous slide. Towards the end of that process, the university immigration team will assess the CAS request, and then they will go through the final checks and issue the CAS. Once that stage has been completed, the applicant is ready to start with us if they're starting in September or January or another start that we have in the academic year. Begin ready for them to start at their due date for their programme. So just a quick overview, you're probably all familiar with the application form, but this is how it looks. So it's an online application form that we capture personal details. At this stage, we need to make sure that all personal details are correct. So when you are submitting applications, can we just make sure that the email address is correct? Because the email will be the indicator that helps to support the application record going into CAS Shield. So at this stage, this is where we need to have a more consistency with the details. But in essence, we're recording the information, the programme that the applicant is chosen to study with us, and at that stage, we'll be capturing documents as part of that journey. So this page is just giving you that overview, reminding you if there are any queries, our website is a good use of information to support the entry criteria. And over to Carl.
Thanks, Nash. I'll finish off now with just a quick reminder about accommodation so that you can pass this information on to your students. So We're pleased to tell you that we have a large range of different types of accommodation across all of our campuses. So we have the 2 campuses in Cheltenham and 1 campus in Gloucester. So we have different types of accommodation, houses, flats, studio flats, to suit all different budget requirements. We would just like to stress and remind you all that if students will have a guaranteed place in one of our university managed accommodation blocks or halls, as long as they apply via the online form, which is available on our website by the 7th of August 23. We can probably still accommodate them if they apply after that date, but they may not have their first choice accommodation. So we strongly recommend students apply by that deadline. As I've said, prices will vary, so students can find accommodation from anything from £140 per week up to just over 220 if they're looking for a self-contained studio flat. The vast majority of our accommodation is en suite with a shared kitchen that a student would share with around 8 to 10 other students. Contract lengths within our halls of residence are usually 40 weeks. Very importantly, these rents are inclusive of bills. So obviously it's very clear how much you will be paying each week. You don't always have that clarity if you're renting in the private sector. So that's something to consider when students are considering whether to go into private sector accommodation or university managed accommodation. Also, within all of our residences, we have 24 hours security available and a residential support team of staff and students to help all of the students settle in, deal with any issues or queries that might arise. Also, very pleased to say that very soon we will be able to let you all know about some new contract lengths. So we're hoping to be able to offer once again some shorter contracts for possibly 12 to 14 weeks or 1 semester. This has proved to be very popular with our international students who may ultimately want to move into private accommodation, but initially could book a shorter term, shorter contract in one of our university halls of residence. So please keep checking on the website. We expect to have something posted up in the next couple of weeks about those new contracts. And just again, a quick reminder, if any of your students are considering bringing families or dependents over with them, we've put some ideas of realistic budgets here on this slide, and we've also got a lot more information about international students and family accommodation on our website. So would really encourage you and the students to read this because it is very important that any students bringing dependents have a truly realistic budget to allocate for accommodation. As many universities are finding, family accommodation is at a premium and can be quite difficult to secure, certainly suitable family accommodation on a budget. So we feel it's responsible of us to make everybody aware that students do need to be prepared and definitely book any family accommodation before they arrive, or even preferably for individual students to travel initially here on their own and then maybe look for family accommodation once they're here. So please do look at the information on the website. There's some really useful links and contacts there for you to contact. Okay, and just quickly then, just a final few quick dates for you to remember. As I said, the accommodation guarantee application deadline is 7th of August. The vast majority of our students will be moving in of the weekend of the 16th and 17th of September, and induction week will be starting on the 18th of September. We consider this very much to be a compulsory week, not an optional week, so we do encourage all students to arrive in time for that induction week, because there'll be some really important activities, sort of activities to meet your tutors, course leaders, sort of socialising activities, information about your course and things like that. So students really do need to try and arrive by that date. Teaching will start on the 25th of September, and the absolute latest enrolment date for students to arrive and be here at the university will be the 6th of October this year. Okay, so I think I will stop sharing now and hand over to Sean, who is going to give you a run through of the enrollee CAS Shield platform.
I think Sean is on mute. We can't hear.
Sorry, there we go. Oh,
Perfect.
sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's some really bad feedback. I think if you mute yours. Oh, it's on. Okay, is that better?
We can hear a bit of an echo coming through.
And Peter, yeah.
Perhaps, Carla, could you share your sound?
Yeah,
And
if you
then-
can unmute yourself, I think, Carla.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. The screen is a bit frozen. Is it just me or?
It is frozen, Davina.
CAS journey.
Oh, you're back. Oh, sorry. You've just come back. Sorry. If it's possible to maybe start again because the screen was frozen. We were not able to hear you.
Oh, sorry. Is it better now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see the
Okay, lovely. Sorry, I was just saying I'll just be walking you through this morning the student journey on CAS Shield and explaining a little bit about what your students will need to do in order to complete their CAS application, the documents, sort of examples of documents they might need to be uploading, how they will do that, how they can use the messaging functionality to communicate with the team here at Gloucestershire, and also hopefully a chance then obviously for some questions that you might have after the session, at the end of the session. So first of all then, when your student meets that unconditional firm stage that we just heard about from Natasha, they will receive an email that looks like this, branded with the university logo here, and they will be able to log in and start their CAS application. So it's really important that you make sure that for your applications that your student's email address has also been included, because otherwise they will not receive this invitation. As their agent as well, you'll also receive information just updating you that there's a new student for you to help. So here we go. Sorry, running a bit slowly. Okay, so your student just needs to pop in and create a password, and then they'll be able to log into CAS Shield. And the first thing that they'll need to do is just confirm that they understand about the processing of information. You can save and continue, and then you'll have this short tutorial. And this is just a few reminders, and these are really important, both for any of your students who are completing this information. So for every single section, students need to ensure that they click on the tick boxes and turn those green, or that they edit the information accordingly. So if a student contacts you and says something is wrong with CAS Shield, I can't go on to the next page, it's most likely because they haven't confirmed or edited every single piece of information. So I'll show you what that looks like on the next page. So for example, here we can see now that the Save and Continue button is grayed out, and we wouldn't be able to move any further at this point. So the student would need to confirm that the name is correct or to edit that information. Now, if they need to edit this, perhaps they forgot to include their middle name on their first application, for example, they can click here to edit and just add in a middle name here. So, okay, and then they can confirm that the family name is correct and they haven't been known by any other names. And we can now see that that Save and Continue button is lit up in blue, so the student would then be able to move on to the next stage in the process. So click Save and Continue, and then they can go on to the next page. So what your student is doing here is confirming that all of the information that was included in their application is still correct. So for example, if they notice any errors, so maybe if they notice there's an error on the date of birth, or perhaps when they get to the passport section, they have applied for a new passport since they made their application. This is the opportunity to ensure that all of the information that the team at Gloucestershire have is correct, so that when they're preparing that CAS, everything is running as smoothly as possible. All the information that is included on the CAS is correct. And obviously for your students, that's a much better experience. For you as well, that's a better experience, and it can speed everything up for everybody involved. So confirming simply by clicking, so it's very, very straightforward to do. Now this question is important. Will you be applying for a student visa from the country of your nationality? So we can see here the student in our example is from India. If they are outside of India for some reason, they would say no. And then CAS Shield will ask a few more questions. So this might be, for example, if you are already in the United Kingdom, or perhaps you're in a third country for some reason, maybe your parents are working there, whatever it may be. Simply provide a little bit more information. So for this example, I'm in the United Kingdom already. And now CAS Shield will ask a few more questions. So obviously it's important that your student answers based on their personal circumstances. So if they're in the UK already, have they been here for over 12 months, yes or no? And what you will find within CAS Shield is the documents that will be requested from your student are based on the requirements of the team at Gloucestershire, so the requirements of your offer, for example, or anything that has already been set up, but they are also based on the responses of your students. So some of it is based on the individual circumstances. So for example, if you've already been in the UK for over 12 months, you wouldn't be providing evidence of your living expenses, for example. Or if you've been here for more than 12 months, later in your journey, you could be asked to provide additional information about your visa, which visa you may have had before, so things like that. So if you get some students who are asked for some documents and some who aren't, it's quite likely this is based on the responses that have been provided by the student. But if you're ever in doubt, then you can check in with the team here, and they'll be, I'm sure, happy to check with you that everything is as it should be. And I'll show you how you can message, how your student can message later on. So are you applying for a student? But for today, we'll say, yes, I am, no other nationality, and save and continue. So your student continues this journey, and you can see all of these sections here. So your name, birth, etc., address, and for example, English test. So your student has been asked to evidence which type of English proficiency they have provided, and you can see here there's a whole drop down, so students can select anything that is applicable to them based on their offer letter, based on information they have previously provided, and they can, sorry, go back there. And again, passport information, any prior study and travel. If they are planning to travel with dependents, we just heard from Carla, and obviously it's important to make sure that the university are aware of that, especially if you're thinking about housing for your students and things, just to make sure that everyone knows if there's students that might require additional signposting to those types of services. And then finally, just some consents as well around sharing of information. So the last thing that your students need to do in this section is what we call the source of funds and calculator. And this is where you go in and explain to the team here at Gloucestershire how your student will be funding their studies and their living expenses. So you can see at the top, the first thing you'll see is the different types of funding sources that you have here. And this is for a student to obviously select based on their own circumstances. They can select more than one. So if they are funding their studies partly by money from their family, but also from an education loan, for example, they can select two from this list. If they have a scholarship or a sponsorship, again, they can select multiple options. But for today, we will select myself or my family. You'll then see, and obviously, just to be clear, everything we're looking at today, this is a pretend student, so obviously it will be reflected with the correct fees and things like that for your particular program or for your student's program. But you'll see here, you then have what you need to prove you have available, the course fee and living costs, and then the total funding that needs to be evidenced. And then based on the responses that the student has provided above about their funding source, CAS Shield now asks for some additional information. So we can see that we've indicated we'll either be paying for this ourselves or from money from family. So you can click here to add information about the bank account. And again, your student just needs to select which type of account they have based on what is applicable to them. So we can say standard bank account. Now, if they are paying for their fees and living expenses with money from a parent, for example, they can select someone else's account. And you'll see there the student can then choose whichever is most appropriate. So if it's their mother, we then ask for some more information on their mother's name, where their bank account is located, for example, and later on they'll be asked to provide some supporting documents. So for example, this may include a bank statement and a letter from their parent just explaining that yes, they are expecting to be paying these fees, and it's not, it's not a surprise to them that the student is ever, putting this into their application. But for today, we'll say it's my own account, and this account is in Ghana, and you can just select by starting to type, and you'll see there, you can then select from the drop down one of the banks here, and if the student can't find their bank, then they do have the option to write that into the free text box there as well, just by clicking on the can't find your bank on the list link. But for today, we'll say it's this bank here, and I have £75,000 in this account. So we can see that the student is being reminded here that they still need to evidence just over £21,000, and this is being allocated from this account to their studies and their living expenses. So I will pop in here £23,000, and now you'll see this black box pops up underneath. Now your student can still continue their application. This is simply to remind them that any money that they have in this account may be subject to currency fluctuations. So they might want to ensure they've just got a little bit more money allocated for their studies and living expenses. And you can see that underneath. It's explained to the student there roughly how much we would recommend to cover that fluctuation. Can the funds in this account be accessed immediately? Again, that will depend on your student. They must answer that truthfully based on what's their current situation. So yes or no, and today we'll say yes, and then save the funding details. And at the bottom, you can see all of this information. So this student already had a deposit payment. They have explained that they have money coming from their bank account and also money that will be used for their living expenses. Save and continue. So now if we go back to our task list, based on the information provided by the student and the system setup, they're now asked to provide some supporting documents. So I'm just going to show you how a student can go in and upload their documents and what they need to do that. So for example, this student has been asked to provide an IELTS certificate. So if they click here on how to prove, we just remind students what an IELTS certificate looks like if they are not sure, for example, and then they can click to add or update files. And just a reminder there that students always receive around different file types that they can upload. So just making sure that it is one of these file types. And again, just a reminder not to upload any password protected documents, because obviously that would slow things down, because the team would need to contact your student and remind them to upload something new, because they wouldn't be able to access the document to check that it's suitable for the offer. So we can click here to choose the file and then select their document and upload this. Okay. And then slowly upload it. But this shows even if sometimes you're having a funny internet moment, it's still all working as it should be. And then they can just simply save and continue. Now, as we all know, occasionally you might realize you've uploaded the wrong thing, you've accidentally uploaded your transcript in your IELTS section or something like that. Please tell your students not to worry. If that is the case, they can just simply click on add another file and upload a new document. And they can also then message the team at the university just to let them know that they've inadvertently uploaded the wrong document. So they can do that by using the messaging button at the bottom. But just before we do that, we can now see there's a nice green tick there. So what your students should be aiming for is making sure they've got green ticks on all of these documents that have been requested. So for example, the deposit receipt here and the bank statement. And then in your general documents, the passport, the transcripts, certificates, etc. All of the sort of documents that you would expect to see in your student's profile. Now, if your student does need to contact the team for any reason, at the bottom of the page here, there is a little messaging button. I don't know if you can quite see that, but they can click on there. It looks like it's got a sort of envelope logo, and they can send a message here. So if the student types a quick message into this box and presses submit, that will then be seen by the university team. And that will mean that they don't need to start emailing. They don't need to email the university and ask any questions. So if it is the case that, you know, I've accidentally uploaded my old IELTS certificate, I've now uploaded my new certificate, and I'm feeling worried, I want to let someone know, there's now no need to email. Simply pop a message in here, it will be seen by the team. There's a little auto reply which just lets your students know roughly how long they would expect for someone to come back to them with a response. No need to worry. You've let the team know, you don't need to worry about emails, and that just obviously speeds things up for everybody because everything's kept in one place, and it means that there's no need to sort of be using multiple systems. So your student can carry on until they've uploaded all of their documents. And then the last thing we have here is what we call the short pre-CAS questionnaire. And this is just a few questions for students to answer around why they've chosen to study in the UK, why they have chosen this particular course at Gloucestershire, why they've selected the university. So just show you, for example, we might say, I've chosen to come to the UK because I want to experience a new culture. Why have I chosen the course? Maybe it's aligned with career goals, interested in the subject area. And why have you chosen the university? And perhaps that's the location and affordability. We've just been hearing about the housing, which, you know, sounds very affordable, relatively speaking, in the UK. So that might be a factor in decision making for your students. So, you know, you've selected the different options around why they have chosen Gloucestershire. And then again, just a few words here around why they have chosen this university. And just again, to remind your students, this isn't a test. No one's trying to, you know, they're not going to sort of say, oh, I can't believe they said that, maybe I really wanted to go somewhere else. It's not about that. It's just to understand a little bit more about why the student has made this selection. So we'll just pop in here for now, test, but obviously put in the reasons there, and then save and continue. And the student can carry on until they complete all of their pre-CAS questionnaire. Now, if they only do one section and then they need to go off and do something else, that's fine, because they can return to this later on. They can't go back, but they can carry on and just resume the pre-CAS questionnaire whenever they're ready to do so. So, you know, and that's the same with everything within CAS Shield. So if your student is, you know, sitting there, they've got 10 minutes spare, they can go through, make sure everything in their information section is confirmed, and then if they need to come back later and upload documents, then of course they can pop back in and do that whenever it's convenient for them. And it's a system that's available to your students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So again, across time zones, it doesn't matter. And all of that information is then there to be assessed by the team here at Gloucestershire. So hopefully this will be a really good addition to your experience in helping your students through this part of the process. So I'm going to stop sharing there, and obviously if you have any questions as we go through, I'm very happy to answer those for you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sean. Really, really useful overview of CAS Shield process and a great platform. We've been using CAS Shield for a couple of years now, and we've been receiving really positive feedback from students and our partners. So I'm sure our students for the University of Gloucestershire and our partners will find it really useful as well. Excellent. I can see lots of questions were coming through as we were presenting. So I'm going to start with a few questions here. Just to make it clear, because there was a question whether the whole process is completed via GAS Gateway or not. So to make it clear, if you are a student, you submit your application via educational agency. If you're an educational agency, you submit your application then via in uni, so following the GAS gateway route, and our internal admissions team will then start making assessment. Once you have received your unconditional offer letter, you will then receive access to CAS Shield. And that's when you start uploading documents and providing information for CAS request via CAS Shield. So there are two separate platforms for different purposes. So hopefully that will make it a bit clearer in case if you had any doubts. There were also questions in regards with deadlines. Just to reiterate once again, because we've been saying this since I think the beginning of the year, and as Carla mentioned earlier as well, the universities have been receiving a large volume of applications, meaning we want to ensure that you secure your place at the University of Gloucestershire as early as possible. So if you haven't submitted your students' applications, please do so. We're currently allowed to do it by the end of May, please, or submit outstanding documents if you have already received your conditional offer letter, so that we can take your case over to the next stage. But do keep in mind, because of the large volume of applications, obviously deadlines are fluid, so they can be changed anytime. And like I said, we want to make sure you do have your space at the University of Gloucestershire reserved. Now, in terms of the suitability interviews, I can see a few questions were coming through about suitability interview. We have recently shared communication on the deadlines and the deadline to book the interview, which currently as it stands is 15th of June. But if you have received your conditional offer letter already, you need to do the interview booking process within 2 weeks of receiving your conditional offer letter, please. If you haven't done so, please book your interview at the soonest, because again, the slots are limited. So we don't want you to miss out during summertime. It will get even busier. So you need to reserve your interview slot at the earliest. And once obviously you have passed your interview and you have received your unconditional offer letter, you would then need to arrange your CAS deposit payment, which is £5,500. There were some questions in regards with outstanding fees. If you're paying all in one go, that's amazing, because it saves you, I guess, further stress to arrange outstanding fees later on. And on top of that, you're also getting an additional £500 discount. And that's on top of £2,000 scholarship. So potentially £2,500 saving if you're paying all in one go, or you're paying outstanding fees prior to enrollment. So once you've secured your visa. Okay. Let's jump into a few additional questions here. Would there be another interview after CAS Shield or at CAS Shield stage? Well, the only additional pre-CAS interview, shall we say, is the one Sean just demonstrated. So that's the questions you would just need to answer within CAS Shield. But because by that point you would have passed your actual suitability interview, which is arranged via in uni. And we've shared the interview links recently, but in case if you haven't received it, please feel free to reach out to your advisor or my business development team on the ground. Not only they would be happy to share the link with you, but they can also help you to prepare for your suitability interview and take you through the mock sessions, etc., just to ensure you've done enough research and you obviously fully equipped with the knowledge to be able to pass your interview. So there is no further interview as such at the CAS Shield stage. You would only need to answer those questions by filling up the boxes that have been demonstrated to you earlier on. Okay. Will students receive CAS Shield link post-paying CAS deposit? Students would receive their CAS Shield access at the unconditional stage. So please ensure you've provided all your documents to receive your unconditional offer at the soonest, as well as obviously pass your in-uni suitability interview, which is then reviewed by the University of Gloucestershire. And once you have received your unconditional offer letter, you will also receive your CAS Shield access. You would need to obviously arrange deposit payment by that point and complete your CAS Shield at the soonest. And obviously keep in mind, like it was mentioned earlier, not only the spaces are limited at the university, but also the number of international students that the universities in the UK can sponsor is also limited. So do ensure that you complete your CAS Shield earlier. So not only you have received your unconditional offer letter, you've paid your deposit, which is important, but deposit on its own will not guarantee your CAS. You need to ensure that you've completed CAS Shield and you obviously meet the requirements to receive the CAS letter, and then your CAS will be issued. There was a question in regards with turnaround time for CAS issuance. From previous intakes, I think it was around 5 working days, unless it gets a little bit busy. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, perfect. So allow please 5 to 7 working days just to be on the safe side. Obviously, immigration team at the University of Gloucestershire is getting visa day by day, given that students can already apply for CAS and the university has been issuing CASs already. Just a reminder to everyone that the university can issue CAS 6 months prior to the start date of your program, but also you can apply for your visa as soon as your CAS is issued. So that's also 6 months prior to the start date. And that will again save you a lot of stress and time later on, because in summer, it takes time obviously for the UKVI to consider your visa application. And you may also need to pay extra for premium service if you want to get your visa issued a little bit sooner. So obviously by applying for your visa earlier, you're actually securing your visa early as well, and that will help you to start arranging further steps. So accommodation, as it was mentioned before, obviously you need to book it at the soonest, and you can start booking your flights early as well, and then arrive 1 month prior to the start date. So you're saving money by arranging everything at early stages. For suitability interview, we have to book the date, or the university will tell us the date. So the date can be chosen by you depending on the interview slot's availability, but you need to secure your interview slot at the soonest. So like I said again, you would need to book your suitability interview via in-uni interview link. We can share it in the chat section as well, but we've shared recently also in our communication. Please ensure that you are fully prepared before you book your interview, because 1 attempt is normally allowed. If you are unsure on what's expected during the interview, please reach out to your advisor or my team on the ground, and they will be happy to support. There were questions in regards with the payment. So the minimum CAS deposit is 5,500. The outstanding, if you're paying in one go, you will save £500 because there is an early bird discount. If you decide to split it into 2, you can do so. So you're paying 50% of outstanding fees before your enrollment. This is the bare minimum. So this is a must before your enrollment, and then you can pay the rest of your fee prior to the next term. But like I mentioned, if you're paying all in one go, then you're saving £500 discount. And also I would imagine you're saving on the transfer fees as well. Interview preparation link that's been mentioned, so we will share this in the chat section as well. The turnaround time we have discussed. Okay, so the question to the University of Gloucestershire colleagues on the work placements availability, and how does the university support students with finding work placements? Carla, would you like to take that question, or Bajit?
Sorry, Dagina, you froze there for us, so I didn't hear
Okay, apologies. Yeah, okay, yeah. So how does the
Yes.
university support students with finding work placements?
Carla, will you take up?
Happy for you to, Wajid, if you like, and I'll...
Oh, thanks, Carla. I think as I briefly mentioned earlier, I mean, a lot of focus we have is on employability. We have almost 9,000 student population, and out of this 9,000, 4,000 students every year, they get into work placements. So yes, we have a very dedicated team which could help you to find a suitable work placement for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Vajid. That's really helpful to know. And the university, just to highlight once again, the university is placing a lot of emphasis on the employability, and there is a great support available to students from day one. When I visited the University of Gloucestershire not long ago, I was lucky to actually be present at the career fairs at the university, so I could see all the big companies there, and the university students were able to go and speak to potential employers, obviously discuss their CV, discuss the opportunities available. So the employers actually come also to the university to find great candidates for them to find, to obviously fill those vacancies they may have. Some of the programs within, well, undergraduate portfolio, but also postgraduate, offer embedded placement, which is a great option for international students, especially to gain valuable work experience during your studies. So for example, if you opt for a sandwich year, as we call it in the UK, for the bachelor's degree, you can apply straight away for 4 years visa rather than 3 years, meaning after year 2 of your bachelor's degree, you will embark on a 1-year full-time placement. So you're not actually studying during that year. Obviously, you would need to apply for placements, but with the help of University of Gloucestershire Career Services Department, you would be able to obviously secure that placement and start it during year 3. Depending on the company, depending on the vacancy, most of placements are actually paid because you are a full-time employee at a company. But most importantly, you will gain this experience, which will then help you to secure a full-time job after graduation. And we've had cases where students actually stayed at those companies on a full-time employment after they graduated. As you know, the great thing about the UK currently, the international students are able to secure 2 years post-study work visa or graduate route visa, shall we say, if they successfully complete and pass their degree from a UK university. So they don't have to have a job offer in place, and they will get this 2 years visa guaranteed if they successfully obviously graduated, or if they completed PhD. So the research level programs, they will be eligible for 3 years post-study work or graduate route visa. For postgraduate programs, there are options like MBA, which is obviously one of the popular ones. And the unique thing about University of Gloucestershire MBA, it actually offers a good choice of specialization. So whether you want to study MBA with a bit of big data, or healthcare, maybe, or hospitality, or project management, so specializations like that. So there is a huge offer of those, as well as masters in FinTechnology. So if you are actually interested in things like cryptocurrency or blockchain, you can opt for the masters in financial technology, which does not actually require specific background, so you can be considered with a different background as well. And those programs actually offer an additional 1 year of work placement. So your master's degree becomes 2 years instead of 1, but the second year obviously you will be devoting to placement. So there are a few options, as well as short-term placements available too. If you are looking to find a part-time job, the university may be able to support with that as well. You just need to obviously be prepared, persistent, have your CV ready, but the university also offers 360 degree overview of your CV, and you can obviously get support from the qualified advisors at the Career Services Department. Did you want to add anything, Vijay, to that?
No, thanks, Dagina. I think you very well explained it. I mean, two quick things which are linked to placements. I think the one is, like I always say, the location we have. I mean, you have access to almost 5-6 big cities like London, Birmingham, Cardiff, Bristol, Oxford and Reading. So I think that naturally broaden your horizon in a way to search for more work placements around, and give you more kind of a wider range kind of compared to many other UK universities. So location itself is a kind of advantage when it comes to work placements. And finally, we have the Growth Hub, which is the University Entrepreneurship Center, and that is very well linked with all the local businesses. We have a pool of 8,000 local businesses linked with the university. So this is where I think you again have an opportunity to contact to these businesses and obviously try to find a suitable work placement for you. So plenty there to for work placements.
Excellent. Yes, and we were lucky to actually meet some of the students when we visited the University of Gloucestershire who are currently doing either part-time job or a placement, and they were able to find it with the help of the University of Gloucestershire Career Services Department, but also some of the academics who have those strong links with the industry as well. Okay, excellent. So there is a question in regards with students from Punjab and Haryana. So this is a very, very recent development, and we've sent out communication on that as well. So the great news is the University of Gloucestershire can now consider students from Punjab and Haryana. Please obviously ensure you submit complete files when you send applications via CAS Gateway, including students' documents, so from the academic side of things, but also proof of English. Ensure, obviously, do know that MOI is not accepted, so you need to provide the accepted proof of English. If they're applying for undergraduate degree, there are a number of academic boards that are being currently accepted. So if you are based in Punjab, Haryana, and maybe studying CBSE, CISE. So those are the boards that could be considered for academic entry. And also if you secured 70% in English, that can be considered as a proof of English as well. If you are a postgraduate student, you need to provide, obviously, like I mentioned, a full package of documents, unless you are currently studying your bachelor's degree or waiting maybe for your IELTS or another proof of English. You would need to submit a full package of documents, please, to ensure that your case is prioritized and being looked into at the soonest. Like it was mentioned, we receive a huge volume of applications, so we want to ensure that we prioritize the full files. And don't forget to include an individual personal statement. That's really important. CV needs to be up to date. So even if you have been preparing for IELTS maybe for the last year or two, you need to include that so we can see an up-to-date CV within your application as well. Okay, in our enrollee portal, we're unable to see Gloucestershire. Well, the access to the CAS Shield is normally provided to a student. From the in-uni side, we would be also able to see the students and their profiles and what sort of documents they've uploaded. So in case if any queries on that, obviously you can reach out to us too, but you also need to ensure that students do complete CAS Shield themselves, because there is obviously some personal information required from students. Okay. If students fail a suitability interview, well, it depends on the reason. You can provide a summary of the points as to why you believe the student deserves second chance, and our interview team can look into it. But in most of cases, they do review recording not only once, but few times before a decision is made. And if they decide that the student can't, the student's case can't be taken forward for any reason, whether it's poor communication skills or maybe the reason for choosing UK or the university and such, maybe don't seem to be genuine, then obviously the case might be rejected. But if you believe the student is a very strong student, do bring it to our attention in case if maybe they were just a little bit worried or shy during the first round of the interview. Credibility interview, is it before or after deposit? We normally suggest students to book the interview at the soonest. So once you've received your conditional offer letter, provided you've submitted your personal statement, CV, which has been reviewed by our admissions as well, and obviously whichever academic documents you currently have, and proof of English, you can book your interview. We normally provide the outcome from in Unisite within 24 hours, so 1 working day for the interview outcome, and then once the university reviews, you will receive the final outcome as well. I can see there was a question on the pass certificate. So if you have received suitability interview pass certificate, it means you have passed. So that's all good. If you then have already provided all the outstanding documents, your case will be referred straight to unconditional. If you haven't, our team will notify you that you still need to provide few documents. Once that's submitted via CAS Gateway, we will review and then submit to the university for final review and for unconditional offer letter issuance. And once you've obviously received your unconditional offer letter, you're welcome to pay your deposit of 5,500 and proceed to the CAS Shield admission stage. Okay, let's see. The interviews are being recorded, yes, and the recordings are being reviewed not only by the in-uni team in-house, but also by the University of Gloucestershire immigration team. So if there are any concerns from the university, obviously they still reserve the right to reject it or to question it, or to ask student maybe to reappear for the interview once again. But so far, most of cases, if students do pass in uni checks, the university seems to be also happy with the quality of those candidates as well. But do ensure that you had a few obviously mock sessions, that the student has done enough research to be able to pass the interview, and they obviously have an idea as to where they're going to live, what their future plans are, and mainly on the financial side of things as well. Okay, I think we have covered most of the questions here. If you haven't been invited, okay, so you would need to book the interview from your side. Our team does obviously send out the invites to eligible candidates, but in case if you haven't received the interview link, like I mentioned earlier, in case if you joined a little bit later, you would need to book the interview slot yourself. So obviously it suits your availability, and that can be conducted at the soonest. We have slots available even for this week, so please book at the soonest if you haven't done so, so that your interview can be cleared and we can proceed your case further for the unconditional offer letter. As it was mentioned, the deadlines can change at any time. Currently, we invite you to submit any outstanding documents or applications maybe you haven't submitted for your students by the end of this month, the latest, simply because we want to ensure your students actually secure their place earlier and are prioritized for CAS purposes. So do ensure you submitted your documents, you've booked your interview, and you've arranged deposit payment for those who have received the unconditional offer letter as well, and completed obviously the CAS Shield. Okay, and yes, just to reiterate, I can see a few of the same questions are here. There is no additional interview at the CAS Shield stage itself, because you've already passed. If you've passed your in-uni interview, it has been reviewed by the university, meaning that you don't need to take a second interview. You would just need to fill out some questions and answer some questions within CAS Shield. Okay, the courses. holding conditional to protect. Okay, so there were a few programs that might not be available for the September 2023 intake. There were only a few students affected, which we received the list for and informed the relevant partners, and the applicants also received communication from the university. So you can look into alternative options suggested or other programs the students might be interested in at the University of Gloucestershire, or consider next intake as well. Do we accept students with dependent cases? Well, the UKVI still allows students applying for level 7 program to bring dependent too, but you need to obviously ensure you have sufficient funds when you're applying for your pass and your visa, if you are bringing a dependent too. Okay, is IELTS test essential for the unconditional offer letter? So IELTS is one of the most popular English tests that students provide. However, the university also accepts a number of other English tests like Pearson, like language cert. I know in Pakistan, for example, language cert might be a popular option, so that can be done either at the center or online, so that can be considered. And the university also accepts a number of boards in India, so you can receive more details if you reach out to your relevant business developer on the ground, and or check out the University of Gloucestershire website as well. You will see which boards are being accepted as a proof of English if students achieved 70% in English, and if those boards are still within obviously 5 years of completion, so that can be considered. So there is a different obviously range of proof of English that can be considered. Okay, and am I on the correct impression that the students are the ones who would have obviously full access to the CAS Shield, and in uni obviously UK from our side we would be able to see it? Would any additional stakeholders or anyone else be able to view the students' records? Shan?
Yeah, just to answer that, for some of you, you may be working with other universities as well, with whom you are working perhaps directly. So you might be, you could well be able to see other students on your CAS Shield profile, but for your students who are applying through in uni, then obviously they'll be taking care of those applications for you, so you wouldn't see those on your CAS Shield profile. So if you're getting confused as to why you can see some and not others, that will be why. So for those of you who do work with other partners, yes, you may well be able to see some of your other students.
Understood. Perfect. Thank you, Shan. So just to reiterate to everyone, my team on the ground would have a full access to CAS Shield. So in case if you have any questions on your specific students' profiles, you can always reach out to them and they will be able to guide you further. But obviously students will have a full access to their CAS Shield, and CAS Shield needs to be completed by students themselves because personal information is required there. Right, okay, I think we've covered most of questions here. In case if I missed anything, please feel free to reach out to your advisor or my team on the ground, and they will be more than happy to assist. Is there anything else, Carla, Vajit, you would like to add?
Yeah, Dagina, I was just going to reiterate, I think what Shan and yourselves have said is that if a student has issues with CAS Shield, or the agent is not sure, to either reach out to yourselves or for the student to put a message on the CAS Shield platform. We're really trying to limit the number of emails going backwards and forwards from different teams, so it will be a lot quicker and more efficient for everybody if messages are, as Shan showed, put into the message or live chat function on the CAS Shield platform, or if the agent reaches out to yourselves, I think. just so that we can, don't have messages on CAS Shield and emails going around. So we're just trying to get everything on the CAS Shield as much as possible on that platform, because everything is transparent then to our team, admissions, international team and immigration team. So the students will definitely get a reply via the platform.
Perfect. Yeah, that's really good. Thank you so much, Carla. That's helpful. And just to reiterate to everyone, if you joined later, you can still submit your applications. If you haven't done so, please submit them by the end of May. So at the sooner you submit them, the more chances obviously you have to get into the University of Gloucestershire. Please aim to submit full file. So academic documents, CV and personal statement, really, really important. Those are included. And obviously proof of English. But if the student is still in education, so they're still studying bachelor's, so maybe at high school, or they're waiting for proof of English, that's fine. That can be provided a little bit later on, but do try to submit as complete files as possible. I can't stress it enough. Please ensure you submit a good quality, serious candidate applications, because at this point of time, when we are already swamped with a huge volume of applications, we literally don't have the resources to proceed applications where students might not be serious, might not have the right communication skills, might not be the right quality for the University of Gloucestershire. So please ensure, if you're an educational agency, you filter your applications from your side first and then submit them via GAS Gateway. This is really important and I can't stress it enough. Once you've received your conditional offer letter, please ensure within 2 weeks maximum you book your suitability interview, and by the 15th of June, the latest, please, so that we again prioritize your cases and proceed to unconditional offer letter. You then need to arrange your deposit payment again within 2 weeks once unconditional offer letter is issued, or by 30th of June, please, whichever is earlier, and that is £5,500, the minimum CAS deposit. But if you're paying all in one go for the first year, you will receive £500 discount on top of that. And please submit your CAS Shield request or CAS request via CAS Shield platform at the soonest. We've recently announced the deadline of 21st of July, but again, don't leave it till the last minute, because like I mentioned earlier, deadlines are fluid, meaning we can change them at any point. We can bring them forward if we receive too high volume of applications and the deposit payments. So the sooner you arrange everything from your side, the obviously more chances you have to secure your place in the University of Gloucestershire, to secure your CAS, and you can then apply for your visa at the soonest as well. Couple of things also which has been brought to our attention. Please ensure that the funds documentation is checked fully as well from your side before students provide them within CAS Shield as well, because we want to ensure that obviously everything that's provided is genuine, that there is evident history of the funds being held to ensure that the student has obviously high chances of securing visa, but also there is no potential risk of the outstanding debt as well. And students do need to ensure that they pay their outstanding fees prior to enrollment, the latest, at least the very, very minimum installment required. Credibility interviews, guys, again, it has been brought to our attention that sometimes students book interviews without actually being prepared or with having very poor communication skills. So obviously, like I mentioned earlier, it's important you do filter checks from your side. If you need any support with mock sessions, you reach out to my team on the ground and they would be happy to support. Because as we get into a busy time, we would not have capacity for the interview slots to accommodate students with poor communication skills, or students who are not well prepared, or there were also instances of students cheating, which obviously will not be tolerated either. And the course Okay, the course changes, we've discussed that already. I think we've pretty much covered everything here, and I really hope our partners and our students found this session really useful. But do reach out to us in case of any further questions whatsoever. We would be happy to support. If you are a student, we can't wait to welcome you at the University of Gloucestershire very soon. And if you are an educational agency, we look forward to receiving your student applications, ideally with full files, can't stress it enough, and obviously outstanding documents and interview bookings if you haven't done for your students' pipeline. Perfect. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, Shan. Really useful presentation. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Taj, and thank you, Vajid. Thank you, our in-unit team, Arjuna and Ankita, for your help with this webinar. And have a great day, everyone. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.